بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف جعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره وشيعته اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We discussed the spiritual understanding of removing najasat or ritual impurities from our body and clothes. And then we reached a passage from Misbah al-Sharia. This is the book which is attributed to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, although our ulama have different opinions about whether it is by Imam Sadiq, whether it was compiled by a student of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. But for sure it's very respected source. We don't want to say from cover to cover everything is acceptable, because other than the Quran there is no book that we accept from cover to cover. We need to study and investigate every hadith in every book through its chain of narrations, etc. And sometimes when there is no chain of narration, so we cannot 100% be sure unless the content is something that can only be coming from Ma'soom. But this doesn't mean that either you are able to verify or you leave it aside. People of knowledge, people of discerning, they can find where there is valuable information, where there is insight, and use it. Al-hikmatu dhallatul mu'min aynama wajadaha akhadhaha. Hikmah is something that belongs to a mu'min, and mu'min has lost it. If something didn't belong to you and you are looking for it, we don't say it is dhallatul mu'min. It means that something that is yours, but now you don't know where it is. It's missing. You look for it, and wherever you find it, you take it. So we don't want to go to detailed discussions about Misbah al-Sharia, but for sure there are lots of beautiful ideas in Misbah al-Sharia, the minimum we can say. When it comes to going to a washroom, to toilet, which is called also mustarah, meaning the place of comfort, where you comfort yourself from certain bodily pressures, we should also take this as an opportunity to think about deeper questions, deeper issues. I told you in one of the sessions, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, that people who are on the spiritual journey, they look at everything as a kind of reminder, as an opportunity to go deeper. It's not that they neglect the worldly side. No, they pay attention to the worldly side, but they are able to go deeper. So some people go to the washroom, okay, they say, okay, this is a need, physical need. We need to go to washroom. We need to, comfort our themselves, etc. This is their level of understanding. But some people, they go to the washroom and then still they keep thinking that first how I was able to find the food and was healthy to eat the food and digest, and now I'm healthy and able to go and comfort myself. Many people cannot do these things. Either they cannot find food, or they cannot eat, or if they eat they have difficulty in digestion. Then they go deeper. They say, look, the whole pleasure of dunya is mostly a matter of eating and drinking, and how it ends with difficulties, with pressure, with pain, or maybe, I don't know, doing things that you don't like, going to places that you don't like to be there. So if pleasures of dunya lead to this, then what's the value of dunya? Plus, then think about being obsessed with dunya and hubbut dunya. Engagement of body with dunya led to going to toilet. But engagement of the heart with dunya would lead to go to a place of pain. And that is hell, if we are attached to dunya and do things for the sake of dunya and fail to do what is right because we want to have more of dunya. So we need to be deep in our thinking. So let us read this part of Misbah al-Sharia, have a quick reflection, and then continue. سمي المستراح مستراحا لاستراحة النفوس من أثقال النجاسات واستفراغ الكثافات والقذر فيها. The reason this place is called Mustara, because Mustara is ism makan, the place of comfort, raha. Because people, when they go there, they get rid of pressure of najasat, dirty things, and whatever is not needed for the body, and you need to get rid of it. This is just a clarification about the meaning. But al-mu'minu ya'tabiru indaha. Mu'min always looks for ibra. Yeah, fa'tabiru ya ulil absar. You should take lessons from everything. If there are people who are successful, you can get lesson. If there are people who are not successful, again you can get lesson. Mu'min at this time takes this kind of ibra, this kind of lesson. أن الخالص من حطام الدنيا كذلك يسير عاقبته. So something from worldly good, hutam is bid'a, good. Something which was pure from worldly good, this is the end of it. So if you want a real comfort, if you don't want to go through lots of stress, leave it. Leave dunya. يَسْتَرِيهُ بِالْعُدُولَ عَنْهَا وَتَرْكِهَا. Of course, this doesn't mean that you abandon dunya in the sense that you neglect, in the sense that don't be attached to dunya. Don't be, too much engaged with dunya. Superficially engage with dunya to fulfill your responsibilities and dunya, but don't be deeply attached to dunya. يفرغ نفسه وقلبه عن شغلها, as I said, must make himself and his heart or her heart empty from شغلها, being engaged with dunya. ويستنكف عن جمعها وأخذها استنكافه عن النجاسة والغائط والغدر. In the same way that you don't want to have lots of dirty things, you should also avoid collecting dunya. ويتفكر في نفسه المكرمة في حال كيف تصير ذليلة في حال. Think about your own nafs, which is honored in certain circumstances, then reach the point that you have to go to the toilet. Even if you are a king, you need to ask, where is toilet? I have to go to toilet. ويعلم أن التمسك بالقناعة والتقوى يورث له راحة الدارين. If you are content, you would be comfortable. You would have the least of the problems. Comfortable in dunya and akhirah. أن الراحة في هوان الدنيا والفراغ من التمتع به. If you want really comfort, if you want to have no stress, it's not through having more of dunya. Sometimes people think, if I have more money, if I have more, properties, if I have, more investments, if I expand my business, I will have raha. But raha doesn't come in this way. I'm not against people, working hard or, making money or, doing investment. But the main thing is why they do this. If you want to achieve your comfort through this, you are not going to. If you want to do something to help people, to generate job, etc., that's different if it is for the sake of Allah. But if you think you are going to be satisfied in this way, no. So, أن الراحة في هوان الدنيا والفراغ من التمتع. Raha is to understand the nothingness of dunya and be free from engagement. وفي إزالة النجاسة من الحرام. What is real haram, najasa? Real najasa is, or you can say, deep najasa is engagement with haram. Not just, something that makes your body najis. Yes, that is najis, but the more dangerous najis is haram. فَيُغْلِقُ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ بَابَ الْكِبْرِ. One of the things that we need to really close the gate of it to us is arrogance. And also to run away from sins. يَفِرُّ مِنَ الذُّنُوبِ وَيَفْتَحْ بَابَ التَّوَاضُعِ وَالنَّدَمِ وَالْحَيَاءِ. And open the gate of humbleness, regret for the opportunities missed, for the time we wasted in seeking dunya, والحياء, and to have that positive sense of shame. And يجتهد في أداء أوامره واجتناب النواهي, and do your best in implementing divine obligations, divine commands, and avoiding from haram. Seeking goodness in the end. طلبا لحسن المآب وطيب الزلفى, and being in a place near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and enjoy. And imprison your nafs in the prison of fear, patience, avoiding shahawat, so that this prison of nafs, so that it doesn't go for dunya, would give the nafs ability to reach dar al-qarar, the abode of rest, and taste beautiful taste of divine pleasure. يَذُوقَ طَعْمَ رِضَاهِ. because this is the end. Whatever we want to achieve is to reach the place of knowing that Allah is pleased with us. وَرَضْوَانٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ. You see, you don't need to be, for example, in a sacred place or with, sacred people so that you think about such important issues. Even if you are in the toilet, you can be very mindful. Of course, it becomes better if you are in, for example, a sacred place. It can become better if you are in company of, great people. If you are in Dars Akhlaq, it can become better. But it's not either this or nothing. Either I have ability to think about these things when I am in a good place or with good people, or I have no ability. No. Therefore, you see, you have lots of time and opportunities to be engaged in your spiritual journey. You cannot say, I have to work, I have family, I have children, I have ill people to look after, I don't have time for spirituality. What is there in your life that you cannot connect it to spirituality? What is there that you cannot paint it with divine color? Sabghat Allah wa man ahsanu min Allah. Just needs attention. I know it's not easy because sometimes you are under pressure, people demand many things from you. It's not easy, but it's possible. It needs right mindset. We need to have right mindset so that we can plug in from everywhere. Imam Khomeini says this noble speech is a comprehensive instruction for the people of Ma'rifah and Suluk. انسان بیدار سالک الی دار الاخره. The person who is awake. You remember we said the first station is yaqza. You have to be awake. If we are awake, he says, در هر حالی از حالات, in all circumstances, can benefit spiritual benefits, can make lots of spiritual benefits, can enjoy spiritually, and can avoid heedlessness in all circumstances. He says something that it's not maybe very much needed here, but it's useful here, but also can help you in other places. So I explain a little bit more what he means here. He says, Hokama means people who have, divine wisdom. They say, An-Nabiyyu khadimul qadha kama anna-tabib khadimul badan. This is a very deep point. So what does it mean? Physical doctors, physicians, they serve our body. Yeah? They look after our body. They help us with our body. Their concern is health of body and illnesses of the body. So at-tabib khadimul badan. Badan is very important, but it is very low level of existence. Yeah, it's just part of tabia, part of this physical material world. But a prophet is not there just to serve us with our bodily needs or bodily health, although they may teach us things that would have impact on physical health as well. They give us, instructions about, diet, etc., that are very important for our health. And just the fact that, we shouldn't eat in excess is very important. We shouldn't eat things which are harmful. It's very important. But this is not the function of a prophet, the main function of the prophet. The main function of the prophet is to serve al-Qadha, divine decree. Because their concern is pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they want to make sure that affairs will run as much as possible according to Allah's pleasure, according to Allah's decrees. So the prophets, in my words, the prophets have prioritized pleasure of Allah over everything. They have prioritized our eternal happiness over other things. So when they advise us, or when they plan, when they function, when they lead, they are not just thinking about our body. They are not, people who just think about, people should have something to eat, something to drink. This is very important, but this is the least of their concern, which is by itself great. But the main thing is that these human beings must reach their potentials. These human beings can become Khalifatullah. Allah has a plan for them as individuals and as a whole. They want us to move towards that plan that Allah has for us as individuals and for us as a whole. So they are not servants of our body, they are servants of Allah. Of course, Allah has concern for all aspects of our life, but not the same way, not the same degree. The importance, priority, all are there. Okay, this was a little bit explanation of this point. Then he says, bil jumla, as a kind of summary, that the wayfarer in all circumstances and from everything should benefit from for their suluk. Benefit from everything for your suluk. Even, for example, of course, you have to do it in a nice way, not in a bold way. For example, you go somewhere, weather is beautiful. You go to a, forest, you go to next to a river, everything is amazing. Okay, like others, you can enjoy, of course, but use that beautiful place also to think about your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Renew your gratitude, renew your praise for Allah, renew your understanding of your role. Yeah, there is delicious food connected to spirituality. From everything, there is wedding or there is funeral. From both you can connect. So make everything useful for your suluk. You hear something good, you hear something bad. Make it beneficial for yourself. So you have this ability to turn everything into your advantage. So he says, سالک انسان سالک در جمیع احوال و از همه امور حظوظ. حظوظ is the plural for حظ. حظ means, your share, your benefit, what you enjoy. So from everything and in all circumstances, حظوظ سلوکی خود را باید استفاده نماید. Must benefit for his or her own spiritual journey. When you see things which are in dunya change, they lose their taste, they lose their color, or they disappear. So you should realize that then this is nothing that I would attach myself. Like Ibrahim alayhi salam was telling people that إِنِّي لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ, I don't want to serve something which is going to decline, something which is, setting. So we should not worship dunya, we should not serve dunya, because dunya is subject to decline. He says sometimes in your dreams, maybe you see dirty things. Dirty things in dream can be a symbol for dunya and money. If you see you are, for example, surrounded with dirty things, it can be that you are going to be given some worldly things. And then he says, Amirul Mu'mineen compared dunya to jifa, to a dead, for example, animal. That is another symbol. Okay? Then he tries to, translate and, explain more this passage from Misbah al-Sharia, but I think the idea is what we said. So I think hopefully we conveyed the message, inshallah. Then we start discussion about spiritual etiquettes of clothing. First, about Ādāb mutlaq libas. We talk about general etiquettes for clothes. Again, our emphasis is on the deeper and more underlying levels of clothing, not just discuss about materials from which clothes can be made, or for example the price of it, or the shape of it, the design of it. We are not concerned about these issues as such. Yes, we are concerned about these things if they affect what is spiritual. Something which is the core of this discussion for tonight, and it can help you in many aspects of religion, is that human soul, or what we call nafs al-natiqah, okay, the human soul has engagement, or you can say presence, or you can say has different levels in three areas, three realms, three domains. One is what he calls nash'iyya, mulkiyya, dunyawiyya, or you can say dunyawiyya, zahira. The first and the most obvious aspect is the physical, the material, the worldly, the apparent aspect of human beings, which you can easily experience through five senses. And our body is the shell for this aspect of human soul. This is the lowest. For some people, this is the only thing. They think human being is just this body. The second level, which is intermediate. نشعه برزخیه متوسطه. So is the realm which is in the middle. Barzakh literally means something which is between two things, like a, for example, barrier between two things. بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا. There is a barrier between two seas so that they don't mix. This is the meaning of barzakh literally. But Quran says وَمِنْ وَرَائِهِمْ بَرْزَخٌ إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ كَلَّا إِنَّهَا كَلِمَةٌ هُوَ قَائِلُهَا وَمِنْ وَرَائِهِمْ بَرْزَخٌ إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. When they say, oh Allah, please send us back, رَبِّ ارْجِعُونَ. Allah says, no. إِنَّهَا كَلِمَةٌ هُوَ قَائِلُهَا وَمِنْ وَرَائِهِمْ بَرْزَخٌ إِلَى يَوْمِ. Barzakh is the world between dunya and akhirah. Look the connection with the literal meaning. We said barzakh means something which occurs between two things and separates them. So the life between dunya and akhirah is barzakh. But this is not the only meaning of barzakh or the only existence of barzakh. We have also عالم برزخ or عالم مثال متصل. In philosophy we study this. Right now, even in our own existence, we have a realm, we have a level which is similar to what we are going to experience in barzakh. In barzakh, we are not worldly. We don't have this physical body, but we are not also like akhirah. So in barzakh, you have badan misali, you have a kind of body which is like the body that you see in the dream. It has shape, but no mass. There's no physical mass. So one aspect of human beings is something which is between body, which is purely material, and our intellect or our abstract soul or heart, which is immaterial, something in between. 5 senses were related to the first, to the physical side. Here we have hawas batine. We have inner senses. Inner senses are different from 5 senses. Those are hawas zahire. For example, sometimes you have some kind of understanding, but it's not through eyes or ear or taste. Some people call, the 6th sense, for example. That is maybe a little bit vague. What do they mean by this, But anyway, we have senses of understanding. For example, we have a sense of understanding maybe threat or love or hatred or beauty. Not beauty in the form of seeing something beauty. There is a sense of beauty that it's the root of seeing things and recognizing beauty in them. If we didn't have that sense of beauty in our inner self, we could not understand what is beautiful or what is not. Anyway, this is second level, and here we have badan barzakhi or misali, which is like the one that we have in dreams or the souls have in barzakh. The third level is nash'e ghaybiyye batiniye. This is the deepest one, this is the hidden one, and this is where heart is involved. Neither حواس ظاهره نور حواس باطنه is heart and the things which are related to the heart. Each of them, in the order that we said, becomes more batin. So nash'i dunyaviya is zahir, then more batin, more hidden, more underlying is barzakhi, and then the most underlying is nash'i aqliya or qalbiya, which is batini completely. So when you come from first to the second and third, you go deeper and deeper. Okay, we don't want to discuss philosophy here, but the reason for saying this is that, which I said is a very important point, you can benefit for many discussions, is that there is interaction between these three layers of human soul or human being, better say human being. There are interactions. What you see, for example, with your eyes has impact on underlying levels and vice versa. What is happening, for example, the heart has impact on your body. And what happens in the body has impact on them. And he says, therefore, whatever we learn in Islam about the rituals or legal, duties, they have impact on more underlying levels. And also what happens in them, for example, what happens in your heart, which is related to the barzakhi, or what happens to your aql, like aqaid, has impact on what is on the surface. So never underestimate anything because it is, for example, just a ritual or a fiqhi thing. It has deep impact. On the other hand, don't ignore the spiritual side because they are the roots and they have impact on every aspect of your being. He says, for example, as qualities to have your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and no expectation from people can bear lots of fruits on the level of actions. Or if you go deeper, iman, which is a matter of ma'rifah, which is deeper even than traits of character, can have big impact on your akhlaq and on your actions. Reza, to be pleased with Allah's decree and his decisions, he says this has big impact on your heart and brings lots of tajalliyat khasse ilahiyya, lots of manifestations to you if you have quality of reza and can transform your iman into its perfection. Make your iman become tuma'nina, confidence and tranquility. And then when you are tranquil, you will start having mushahada, observation. And when you reach peak of mushahada, you will have mu'ashaqah. You will have a love relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then mu'ashaqah becomes murawada. Murawada, like, going and coming and going. And then murawada becomes muwasala. You keep going and coming, but then muwasala means you remain there, you are connected, you are muttasil. And after that, he said, things happen that would not occur to our mind. So there is deep relation between all these levels, and we need to make sure that we do justice with all of them, but the main focus should be on the most underlying one, because that's the level of roots, that the levels of major changes. Then he starts talking about clothes with this preparation. He says, because our hearts are very weak, and like, leaves on the tree, when there is, wind, sometimes wind moves the branches with the leaves from one angle to another angle. He says our heart is so weak and so changeable that we may easily lose our sukoon, our tranquility. Therefore, we have to be very careful, even about ordinary things like what we want to put on as dress. Our dress can have impact on our heart, and we should take care of a spiritual aspect of our clothes. Sometimes Shaitan uses our clothes in different ways to stop us. Sometimes when you have very nice dress, Shaitan makes you feel you are better than others, you are special, so develops in you arrogance and ego. You underestimate other people. Sometimes Shaitan has more sophisticated plans. For example, says, put on very old and torn out, for example, dress. But then Shaitan make you suffer from ujb, self-admiration, and riyā. Want to say, I'm better than people. I don't pay attention to dunya. It's dunya who has made you to look as someone who has no attachment to dunya. So you have to be very careful. You see, as I said, everything has to be looked at carefully and see if there is any potential for benefiting from it, and if there is any potential that being harmed by it, because we want to avoid harm and bring benefit to ourselves spiritually. Okay, we inshallah continue the discussion. This was just introduction to the discussion about the spirituality of clothes. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us in our journey towards Him and make us able to, inshallah, take firm steps, inshallah, without reverse towards Him. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Very
My pleasure.
interesting and comprehensive discussion there that has many different levels and layers. Inshallah, we can study this and benefit. So at this point, we'll open it up for questions. If
Yes.
any of the brothers or sisters have any questions, feel free to either unmute or ask your questions on the chat.
May Allah bless all of you, inshallah. Thank you. May Allah bless you, inshallah.
Looks like there's no, sorry, there is actually a question. So firstly, there's many thank you messages coming through.
Jazakum khair.
Appreciative of the class. So, Sister Kubra says, thank you very much. Would Basira be
You're
in
welcome.
the second level of the Hawas al-Batina or the third level?
Sorry, what's the question?
I said, would Basira be in the second level of Hawas al-Batina or the third level?
Yes. Basira is not in the first level, it's in the second level, and if it is intellectual insight, then can be even the third level.
And I think that is all the questions we have for today.
Okay.
Yes, I think we can complete the session with a dua, please.
Inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma kulli waliyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا وامنن علينا برضاه وهب لنا رأفته ورحمته ودعاءه وخيره اللهم اشف مرضانا اللهم ارحم موتانا اللهم قض حوائجنا اللهم يسر أمورنا اللهم اجعل عواقب أمورنا خيرا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل. التماس دعاء في أمان الله. Thank you. Salam.